now Andrews is going to hear about it all off season for the drop. And this game seems like it was for the MVP. That's what everyone was adding on top of it going into it between Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen. And Josh Allen ultimately prevailed in this one, and the Bills got their revenge against the Ravens, who absolutely dog walked them week 4 of this season. And so it was a great game as we expected. But Kaz, what did you think of the game of the weekend between the Bills and the Ravens?
Fortunate, man. Unfortunate. One, even though Saquon is the most valuable player on the planet in the galaxy, I wanted Lamar Jackson to win the MVP. I feel like he's shown me a lot. I mean, people don't understand like how hard it is to continuously perform. Okay, and when you think of Lamar Jackson's like just career, okay, he just now got Derrick Henry. Before that, he was rolling around with Gus Edwards and half of J.K. Dobbins' leg. Okay. Also, who has been his primary wide receiver in any of his years? You got a guy in Zay Flowers who is not a true number one. Don't get me wrong, Zay Flowers is phenomenal.
Pro Bowler.
Very, very good. He's phenomenal. If that is your number one option, and also, what is it? This is second year, right? Because last year's rookie year, or is this year 3? I think it was
second year.
Yeah, second year.
Flowers second year.
Yeah. So okay. So you got Zay Flowers for 2 years. Last season, okay, whatever. This season, good season, right? He didn't even play this game. let's just put that out there. So, what are you gonna say, Toddy?
I was just saying, Zay Flowers is a Pro Bowl receiver, so let's respect Zay Flowers.
I respect him. But when I think of a number one, like a Nico Collins is number one. Nico Collins can do it by himself. I think Zay Flowers is really good for how they use him, and there's other guys that complement him really well. I don't think that if Bateman's gone and likely and Andrews is gone or something like that, we'll just say hypothetically, realistically, Bateman's out. Just Bateman. Okay. Now I won't say all their teams out because that's crazy. But just Bateman. I don't think that Zay has the same kind of success that a guy like a Nico Collins would, or like a Jamar Chase, or obviously Justin Jefferson, guys like that. Even though Jay Jettis didn't have the crazy season, but he still had a much better season than half the league because he's Justin Jefferson and he did it effortlessly. But no, I like Zay Flowers. I think he's phenomenal. I just when I'm very strict with how I deem someone as a number one wide receiver. I'm very big on that because we know the top number ones in the league. He ain't that. All right. I'm not saying he has to be compared to Justin Jefferson, things like that. No, but like it's not even close. There's just a gap. I would even say an Amari Cooper is more of a number one than a Zay Flowers. It's my opinion. But either way, Lamar Jackson, who has he had? I mean, Zay Flowers, Mark Andrews was a shell of himself at the beginning of the season. He didn't do anything for the first few weeks, and he kind of made a surge back. They found a guy in Likely, which is awesome. I'll give him that. And then Bateman, he had a pretty solid season this year. He definitely turned it up at the very end of the season for sure. Because me and my boy, who's a Ravens fan, we argued every week because I watch football with him every Sunday about how I'm like, Bateman is not a good receiver. He's like, no, Bateman, he gets open more than a lot of receivers. He just don't get the ball because Lamar sucks. I'm like, Lamar doesn't suck. He ain't open. I don't care what Next Gen Stats says. Bateman is not that good. He is serviceable. He has his moments. Give me a guy like a T. Higgins or a Keon Coleman or something like that over Bateman. These are guys I like that I don't think that are number one tier, right? Like the number one receiver. So, but you got Bateman, you got Derrick Henry, and Lamar. It played lights out this season. He played it very, very well. He had multiple games with multiple touchdowns, proving that he is one of the better passers in the league. I don't know what more you need to see from him. I think he went for, I don't know what his yards were at the end of the season, but he had multiple games
and 2 touchdowns. He had a pick. I don't know what his completion.
I mean, I meant for the whole season.
Oh,
he had multiple games where he went well over 250 through the air. So in multiple touchdowns. And then you got Josh Allen, and I get it. He doesn't have much to work with. I wouldn't say. I mean, they went and got Amari Cooper. I wouldn't say that's not a power move. That's a power move. That's a good move. Amari would be really good on a lot of teams right now. So you got him. You got Keon Coleman. They got who's the other guy? Drawn a blank. other receivers.
Khalil Shakir.
Yeah, Khalil Shakir. They have guys who can make plays on that Bills offense.
Curtis Samuel.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So they're there. It's not like Josh just by himself. I would just say the Ravens team is definitely better rostered than the Bills team. I'll give them that. But it's not like the Bills had the hardest schedule leading up to this game. They had a very cakewalk schedule all season long. One of the easy schedules in the league, actually, if I remember correctly. When it came to this game, I mean, Shaun said it best. This was the battle for the MVP. Josh Allen's going to get it. Should be Saquon, but he's going to get it. If Lamar wins, he probably would have got it. But it was a good playoff game. I mean, they went back and forth. You know, Baltimore was down a little bit at first, and they surged back like good teams do, and it was right there. You know, right there, take it overtime. That's just a good, hard-fought football team. All truths are told within that last pass. I'm just going to leave it at that. We've seen everything. Lamar had a solid game. Josh Allen had a very subpar game outside of his touchdowns. But, I mean, okay, let's talk about it. I mean, he had, 20 rushing yards for 2 touchdowns. So we already know where those touchdowns came from, right? And Josh Allen can do that. He does it all the time. So he didn't have a good game on the ground besides the 2 touchdowns. He had nothing through the air. 127, 0 touchdowns. Lamar outplayed him everywhere. Because if you want to count touchdowns, he still threw for 2 touchdowns. He's had the 1 pick. So you get to that into the end zone, Mark Andrews catch the ball. You guys go to overtime. We have a different conversation probably. Even if they don't win the coin toss, I think that we have a different conversation. But it is what it is. That's football. Yeah, I mean, I picked the Bills to win. You guys saw it. I mean, I'm hyping up Lamar Jackson. I picked the Bills to win. I'm like, they're at home, and I just feel like Josh is going to steal this MVP from Lamar, and he's going to do just enough. So shout out to the Bills for handling that's got to be a very hard thing to do. Good luck next week. I hope you guys beat the Chiefs. I don't think it will happen. I have the Chiefs making it to the Super Bowl and the Eagles having a rematch against them, but it'd be fucking awesome if Josh Allen and the Bills do the unthinkable, and it just changes everything. So, yeah, just a good game, good football game. Just an unfortunate outcome for the Ravens.
I saw Ariel Helwani, who is an MMA reporter, one of the best out there, and he's a massive Bills fan. He said on X today that this is how it had to be for the Bills. If they want to slay the dragon, slay their demons, they got to go through the Chiefs in Kansas City. And it'll be interesting to see if they are actually able to accomplish that because, as we know, the Chiefs are the boogeyman. And so it'll definitely be interesting. And Jaevon, you were in the same boat as me. You also picked the Ravens to win this game. And Kaz and Kevin nailed it with the Bills. And so just what was your reaction overall to this one?
I just think Lamar kind of was trying to dig himself out of a hole that was unnecessary. He had 2 turnovers, costly turnovers. The fumble was probably the more costly because the interception didn't really lead to anything. The fumble led to points. And at the end of the day, the Ravens turned the ball over 3 times. The Bills turned the ball over 0 times. And I think Lamar definitely had a chance to put his team in position to win at the end, obviously driving down the field to score potentially the go-ahead game tying 2-point conversion. They obviously drive down the field and they score a touchdown, but were unable to convert the 2-point conversion. I just think on the first time that they went for 2 earlier in the game, they should have probably ran the read option. That's probably what I would have done in those short yardage situations because you got Derrick Henry. You're going to have to stack the box. If you stack the box, then Lamar is just going to keep it and run and beat you outside with his legs. So kind of maybe some questionable play calls with those 2-point conversions. But at the end of the day, Lamar Jackson had 2 turnovers himself, and that kind of put them in a tough spot. So and Kevin and I kind of went back and forth in this, and he thinks Jalen Hurts is better than Lamar Jackson, and that's just a whole nother conversation for another day. But he continually kept, pointing out that Lamar had 2 turnovers, and those are things that you can't really refute. But at the same time, Lamar had a chance to win the game, and this is without Zay Flowers, and he's missing guys on the offensive side of the ball. So I think we can't write this picture of Lamar not being able to win the big game because I still think he has a lot of time left in the NFL as a star quarterback in the NFL. So we're gonna just have to patiently just wait. But it's just tough in the AFC. I mean, you got Lamar, you have Josh Allen, there's Patrick Mahomes, and obviously Joe Burrow. The top 4 guys are literally all in the same conference. So it's a revolving door on who Mahomes is going to play pretty much every year. But it's tough when you have those guys all in the same conference fighting for one spot. And that's literally what it came down to. Josh Allen didn't outplay Lamar, but he didn't put his team in harm's way, if that makes sense. So he had obviously the 2 rushing touchdowns, but I think the big part in this game was the turnovers. And the Ravens were able to move the ball on the Bills. I just think the turnovers hindered them to a point where you're giving the other team points. And home team, points in the playoffs come at a premium because everything is going to slow down unless you're the Commanders and the Lions. But in the playoffs, in the cold, things start to slow down and, the games get tighter and tighter. So you can't turn the ball over. I can't really stress that enough. Turnovers in the playoffs are just absolutely brutal.
They are, and credit to Lamar Jackson too, because after this game, he took full blame for it, and he was saying, Mark has been great for us all season. He's been great for us throughout his tenure in Baltimore. I saw a
stat that Mark Andrews hasn't fumbled since like 2019. That's insane.
Yeah,
crazy stat.
And so there's a crazy stat like that, but then all the trolls, I guess I was trying to come up with the appropriate word for that, but all the trolls on X, like I saw a compilation of Mark Andrews dropping 2-point conversion throws. It was like a game against the Packers, it was a game against the Steelers, and then the game against the Bills. And I feel so bad for him because it's like these athletes are at the absolute top of their game constantly. And you do all the correct training, you take all the correct steps throughout the entire year to get you at your peak performance. And you make one mistake on the biggest stage, and this is the divisional round. It's not like it's the conference championship or even the Super Bowl. But to have that spotlight on you and to make a mistake like that, and then you're only remembered for that mistake rather than all the work that it took to get to that point. It's very unfortunate. It's a very cruel business. This is why these guys get paid millions and millions of dollars, is because if you make a mistake, you're going to be eviscerated for it. And it's unfortunate that all the blame is being placed on Mark Andrews. And I just wanted to give major props to Lamar Jackson because he was a leader and stood 10 toes down for his guy. And he said, hey, I had 2 turnovers in the first half. Like, I can't be doing that. I can't be giving the ball away. And Lamar said, like, hey, we were driving the ball down the field. That wasn't the problem. The problem was giving the ball away and not capitalizing on driving the ball down the field. And so the Bills are moving on. Hopefully the Bills can slay the demon that is the Kansas City Chiefs. We're all united on that.